Hello, everybody. I'm Slim Overton, and welcome to the Portsmouth Coffee Talk. And of course, we have taken a break. We took a break for the summer, as we did last summer. And and every time we take a break, we kind of try to evaluate what we've been doing and figure out what direction we should go in next. And just thinking about it, you know. We've been doing this for a while now, and I just wanted to probably focus coming up when we come back in late September or mid September, or it's almost mid September now, or September or the first part of October, to concentrate on having people on or organizations on that will talk about what we need to do going forward. As a listener, a long-time listener of the series program, you know, and a certain talk show host on there would always ask, "What are you going to do about it?" When they had the conversations and people would call in and complain about certain things that were going on, or have a long conversation about things that was going on. So, and he would always end there, what are you going to do about it? What can you do to contribute? And some people had solutions and answers, what they were going to do or what we should be doing collectively. And some people just wanted to talk, with no solutions, no answers, no actions. And Joe Madison was his name, and he would. His thing about was to call us to action, to do things. It's good for us to talk about and be aware of what's going on, in our world, or especially our country today, with Trump in charge, and I will call him out. So some people watching might be Trump supporters, and that's fine if that's what you want to support. But I don't. Some of the things that he has done, in his first administration, and even worse now in this second administration. Not even the first year is over, is appalling to me, and some things are just outright in our face, and not good for some of the minorities out here. It's clearly uh, one of the goals of the administrations and whoever around him who is pushing certain agendas that they want to, sort of change the dynamics of the way things have been going, with all, and you see the news every day and all the things that they want to ban or have control over, or change the narratives of certain information that might be coming out that is history, that's historic information that should never be uh, ignored or covered up. And these things are pretty disturbing. So, and we've had numerous talks about it, panels coming on, and we will continue to do that because I think people have a lot to say, and the panels are good for discussion sake, and a lot of times solutions come out of those panel discussions. But I wanted to kind of focus on bringing people on that are out there really doing something, and to let us know what they're doing, because sometimes they go unnoticed, no matter how big or small the effects are or what they're doing something, whether it's physically out there doing something, or if they're on the airways like this. You can be on the airways like this and do something besides the talking. The talking is good, and we're called Portsmouth Coffee Talk, and that's what we do. But you know, sharing information, I think, that will help people to know what they can do. Because I think certain people struggle, or a lot of people struggle with, well, what can I do? I'm just one person. I'm not a politician. I'm not rich. I'm not this. I'm not that. but we all have worth, no matter what station in life we are. And it's something that all of us can do. And a lot of times we just don't know what we can do, what we're capable of doing. And we need a little guidance sometimes, or be aware of some of the groups that are out there, some of the organizations that are out there that you possibly can join or support financially, to in order for us to deal with what we're dealing with every day with the present administration and all the things that are going on, and the in you face executive orders, and how people that support him no longer hide behind the bushes or under a rock, or don't say anything to your face, but say it behind your back. They're saying it to your face. Just recently with the Charlie Kirk thing, that a lot of people, unless you were into social media, didn't know who he was, but you know now, don't you? Because it's covering all the news. It even overshadowed a high school shooting, you know, which shows children were killed. And it's crazy that the dominant story is the Charlie Kirk thing, killing. And like most of the people say, nobody wants, even the people that disagree with him, nobody wants anybody to be killed in that way, or killed, period, for their right to say what they want to say. That's one of the things that many people fought for. And it's kind of some instances you see the administration trying to quieten uh, certain people's voices by distraction, by moving from one crazy thing to a next, or just bring up something that's totally crazy or impossible, but it gets us talking about it, and we're not looking over here at what's really happening. So we have to be aware of those things like that, and things like that that come up. Just mention it, and if it's worth uh, spending a lot of time on it, so be it. But if you spend a lot of time on it, the end result should be, what do we do about it? What kind of solutions can come out of our discussions about it? Not just endless talking, and then the next time we're talking again about the same thing, or talking about how bad it is. That needs to be brought up. We need to talk about that. But if we continuously just talk about how bad things are, there's people out here that's watching, that's living that. They're living that every day. So that's no surprise to the most of the public that watches. And, you know, so the conversation is good, but what are the solutions? So going forward, we're going to try to concentrate on bringing guests on here, or talking about possible solutions, or talking about ways that you can get involved to make things better for yourself, or your community, or Black people in general, because we are kind of under attack, to say, about some of the things that we're just trying to live life. I put a video out the other day. It was a call to white folks. What is the problem? Why are you so angry with us? Why can't we just live and exist in our world? We fought long and hard to be here, to remain here, to exist past evilness that was put upon us during slavery. And yes, we need to keep bringing up slavery. It needs to be a part of the history. It needs to be out there. It should never go away. It should never not be a part of our lessons. So yeah, we need to talk about that, because some forms of slavery still exist today. If you really want to have that discussion. So let's talk about solutions. Let's talk about what we can do, how we can counter some of the things that they're trying to do. Some things that come down legislation, through the legislation, or through his executive orders, for the time being, until we get some backbone or some power, more power in the legislation. Right now, we don't have the votes to sort of really fight a lot of things that come down the pike. but we have to deal with them. So what do we do? How do we properly deal with it? How do we deal with the loss of a job? How do we pivot from something we've been doing in the government for years, and all of a sudden they tell you you're not just that important. You know, you're too much money. We're wasting too much money on your salaries, on a job that is not necessary, but important. We know how important your job is, and the jobs that they are eliminating. And just to turn around and see them spend millions and millions of dollars on the White House, redoing the White House, and a ballroom, or protecting. I just heard a story where $56 million or something around there are being spent on extra security for the just for Supreme Court justices and a lot of the administration, because of the Charlie Kirk thing. If you can find that money, because you want to protect the big guys, and I believe those people in those positions should be protected, because you have people out there that just concentrate on them because they are who they are. But there's people down in the schools. What about extra money to make sure our children are secure, or the programs that we try to put out there socially are something that can start early in their careers and sort of guide them to doing the right thing, or help them be able to eat when they go to school and not be hungry, because the meals that they get, one of the meals that they get, are while they're in school. But you want to cut those programs. So it's many things that can be done to offset. And Black people, we have been doing this. We've been resilient through a lot of time, a lot of bad times. We talked about slavery and how bad that was, and our hands were kind of tied doing that, but we managed to survive. And then we went into the Reconstruction, and then that they didn't like that because we were advancing. So here comes the Jim Crow laws, which were actually laws on the books that kept us from voting, from doing certain things, owning property, which is just crazy to think about. If you sit down and really think about it, like, how are we different? I know this conversation comes up a lot. How are we different just because of this? What makes us so different because of this? What makes you smarter or better than us because you are lighter than this? And the term whiteness is a socially constructed term that was only put together to combine a lot of people that weren't, because we used to go by our ethnic backgrounds, Italians, and like that. So then they wanted to put all the people that resembled whiteness in one group, so there would be a larger group of people that would outnumber anybody else, the minorities. And now, since the minorities are sort of outgrowing, and I think they have surpassed, if you look worldwide, so, but that shouldn't make a difference. It's just, a group of people that have grown. And if you look at all of us as people, it doesn't matter. But to a lot of people, it matters. And they're really convinced that because of the lack of melanin or thereof makes a difference. Makes you more intelligent, makes you smarter, makes you more entitled to things than anybody else. And then you have a people that have fought hard to work their way up through adversity to become who they are and being able to live the life that they live. But you still have people, and a lot of them are white, are still used, since we use that socially constructed term to identify people, white and Black, which, the definition of those terms, we are not that. you know, physically. I'm not physically black, you know, or I'm not physically black. Is that me? But that's what I'm called. I'm actually African American, Negro, and I'm not colored either. But anyway, back to what we were saying. I want to thank all the people in the past that have followed Portsmouth Coffee Talk through all the different changes. And the changes come because we try to keep up with what's going on now. And the changes now are simply because, like I've been talking the whole time, we want to be able to present hope, solutions, and ways to cope with these times for people. And the way to do that is to bring people up that are doing things that have those solutions or have been thinking about the future and what can happen and what can we do to prepare for that. And some of those things don't have to be shared, on social media, and not all of them. You can talk about some of it, but some of the things just need to be shared in small groups, and then or large groups, and then go out and do it, and just do it. So look forward to Portsmouth Coffee Talk coming back. Not sure how we're coming back as far as hosts. We hopefully come back with the hosts, the Colonel and Leah, as we have been having. But it might be some add-ons there. Where we have a lot of different hosts to come on in order to achieve the purpose that we want to do going forward now. And next year, it might change. The focus might change to something else. It depends on the environment. But I truly believe the environment calls us now to concentrate on solutions. And I can't say that enough. I can't say that enough. Solutions and things we can do and for a lot of people in order to survive. I talked to someone the other day that I used to work with, and they retired, and then they had to go back to work like many people. And a lot of people go back to work because they got tired of sitting home and they felt like they could contribute and they wanted something to do. Really didn't need the money, but the little extra helps. But some people go back and volunteer their time, on certain jobs because they really don't need the money. They just want to have something to do that's really making a difference out there. And then you have some people that are going back to work because they have to, because they feel like their Social Security, which is like a security blanket, along with what they get from their retirement. When you retire, you have to make adjustments too, because it doesn't mean you're getting the same salary you got when you were working. The more you made when you were working, the better off you'll be, but you're not getting that same salary. And a lot of people, of course, have invested properly for their retirement, and we're ready for that. So we also want to bring people on to help the young people make sure that they do the things early in their careers or in their life to secure themselves, when it comes down to retirement. A lot of people think they are in good shape, and things happen like, failing health, or several operations they have to have that can sort of put a strain on your finances, even if you have good insurance. And most people have adequate insurance, but a lot of times insurance don't cover everything. It depends on, the certain types of operations you need. It can be quite costly. And that too can be an issue that, and I'll just throw in voting can solve, who we have in charge of making those decisions about Medicare, Medicaid, and how much money the citizens should keep and how much money, the oversight of how much money administrations can just spend. I mean, it's just, you know, I'm just overwhelmed about how the right talks about all the savings they want to do. And every day we see them spending trillions of dollars and saying, wait, be patient, because what we're spending now is going to turn into something. For who? You and your friends? Because it hasn't in the past. You know, things have to be done for everybody and something that everybody can see immediately or in the near future. All we can see is cuts here and there, jobs being lost. And I never understand that. How is that going to help the economy if you're putting people out of work that can't afford to support the economy? You know, that's basic economics. I mean, you know, if people that haven't even taken economics can figure that out, that's no good. That's not the right way to go. But they spend it to in a way where the people that support them believe that, even if they're being affected directly themselves, they believe everything that's going on. And the people that have it continue to live and continue to have it and continue to have more, which is their goal. Let me continue to get more, get richer, and have more money, you know, because money creates greed in most cases. When a lot of that money can be given back. Uh, well, anyway, that's another story. But, you know, we can't depend on that 1% or 5% to think about that. Their mindset is something else. But we can depend on ourselves to do everything we can. We have to realize how powerful we are. That vote, and if you look at how we vote, you can understand. If you really look at it, you'll know why we are in the position we are today. People sitting home and complaining, but not getting off their ass to go vote. That's the biggest problem, because then you end up with people that's doing what they're doing now. And you tell me that you're satisfied, you know, with the way things are going now. Uh, I'll tell you, you're totally deceived. And I hope you don't suffer from some of the decisions that are being made. I hope you're in the position to overcome whatever is happening, because you're definitely being deceived if you are following or supporting the administration that's in there now. You know, and none of the administrations that we put in office are perfect or always do the right thing, but at least, you know, having a voice and having people that we put in there listen to us. And the only reason they'll listen to us if they see the power that we have in our vote. If they see millions of people that voted for them speaking up and saying, I'll take you out next time, because the main issue with them is keeping their power. And keeping their power is keeping them in their elected offices. That's where the power is. It's not so much about how much they get paid, but the power and the influence that they can get and making money on the side, per se. And I'm not saying that's all bad, but sometimes it is. You know, you can make money and still think about your constituents and make sure they are flourishing as well. But we don't see that because they just do what they do. If we're not speaking up in numbers, if a few of us take for instance, if you look at the local city councils, and when issues come up and one or two people speaking on the issues, and they say, okay, thank you, next speaker. But if you got 500 people waiting in line and they have to be there till 2 o'clock in the morning, but they have to listen to all 500 people because it's your right, you'll see some changes. You'll see some changes in there. One or two people are not going to make the changes necessary. They might listen and say, wow, that's a great idea, but it's not going to be enough to change the direction that you might want it to go. But all those people standing behind you, they have to listen because they know if you don't listen, the next time you'll be standing in line with them and not an elected official. And for the most part, a lot of the elected officials are genuine in what they do once they're elected, but oftentimes it's not enough votes in order to do the things that they want to do because it's people that think different and nobody tells them any different. I sent a email to our local city council people today, and I got one response from, and really wasn't looking for it, but I would think when you send an email, and I know they get thousands of emails, and sometimes it takes them a while to get to it, but we'll see if I'll ever get any response. At least, you know, at least respond back and say, yes, I received that. And thank you for your concern, which is some of the things that one council woman. And so I'll say that we just have two on our Portsmouth City Council. So you figure out, well, you don't have to figure out, but it was one of the two women that responded right away to my comments. And she didn't have come back with solutions because she didn't have that, but she responded to my comments and let me know she received them and and thanked me for my concern and she'll hold on to that when that issue comes up. But I've yet to hear from anybody else, and I've done that before and never heard from anybody else. Now, if you're a city council person and you're so busy that you can't look at all your emails, you need to hire some high school students or something like that. Take some of the money that you gave yourself a raise. You gave yourself a raise, council people in the city of Portsmouth. So take a little bit of that. If you can't get to all your emails, hire a high school student for a few hours a week or something like that and go through your emails, the ones that are public, that, not your private stuff, but the ones that they send to you through the city council webpage, all that should be public, and have them go through that and at least give you, at least they can acknowledge that it was received. And when you get around to looking at them, you should respond to all of them. But if you see some that are really important, that really need to be addressed, do so, because you sit up there and ask people to do that. Not everybody can come down to the council meeting, and quite honestly, and I know all the council members and I respect them, and I like all of them that sit up there now. But we are here. We have to hold them responsible. And sometimes when people come up to talk, they look quite bored. They look quite bored. And I always felt like somebody sometimes should say thank you. Well, they do say thank you for your comments, but should address that. And I think the reason they don't because they don't want to prolong the meeting and the speak, because the speakers speak at the end of the meeting after they have done all the business, and I don't think it should be a time limit on a council meeting. If you have 55 people to speak, all those 55 people are going to speak, and you should give them the time. I know it can be long, but that's what you signed up for. You signed up for those things. Just think about the people in Congress and how long they sit before Senate committee meetings and meetings like that. That just comes with the job. And it should be the same with our city government. And sometimes it looks like y'all just try to rush through things so you can get out of there. And I understand that many of you have other jobs, but you make that commitment when you run and we elect you. You have to know what's in store for you. You have to know it's going to take long hours. You have to know that you're doubling up with your regular job if you're still working. So, or you shouldn't run if you think it could be overwhelming. You know, because I know many of you have families and you have to take time out for your families. But and I'm not trying to discourage people from running, but this is something you have to know going in. And most council people know that, and their families know that it's going to take a certain commitment from that particular elected official to be at certain events. And it might be two or three in a week or one every night of the week. And, that just goes with territory. And then, but you have to make sure you make time, for yourself. And when you make that time for yourself, make sure that that's that's what you do. That you make that time for yourself and your family, just to keep your sanity and stick to it. And nobody will blame you for that, but we will blame you for trying to rush through meetings because it might be too long, and you have a lot of people out there that have things to say. And I'll say this to the speakers: when you go up there, have something to say. Let it be relevant to relevant. Yeah, let it be germane to something that this council can handle. To go up there and talk about the Commonwealth Attorney, which is a constitutional office, and not, even though we elect them like we elect the council, but it's run by that particular person, and the council has no say about that. So those constitutional officers, like the Commonwealth Attorney, the City Treasurer, the Commissioner of Revenue, and the sheriff, you take those issues to them and try to resolve that with them. To come before council and talk about things that they have no control over, it's actually a waste of time. So I'm holding you accountable to uh, citizens, fellow citizens. So let's make that. So I got off on the local thing, but we talk about local things as well. And it's called Portsmouth Coffee Talk, but we talk about national issues, worldwide issues, and issues of concern all over. But hopefully, well, not hopefully, our focus will be, when we start up this fall, will be on bringing on people with solutions, and bringing on talking to people that are already doing things, got the boots on the ground, or have creative ideas on how we can get through these times. If you lost your job, or how you might invest now to uh, create a better situation for you when your retirement age comes. All these things that will be beneficial. We'll have some panel talking, but we want to mainly be able to share information that can help you uh, with, with whatever you're going through, and help us make it through this administration, the rest of the years he has left to do things, and hopefully we can make some changes, in our legislative body, where we can stop him from doing some of the things, even though he doesn't follow any of the rules. But we need to have those votes in there where we can do some things that stops some of the things that his foot soldiers are doing. So didn't mean to talk that long, and never do. But once I start talking, sometimes I might repeat myself. That comes with age. You remember when your grandparents were older, you sit down and talk to them and having a good conversation. Next thing you know, that whole conversation starts over again because they didn't realize that they have already talked about that. So maybe I'm getting to that point. I don't know, but hopefully, I'll be up here, and hopefully I will do less talking, and bring people on that can really help you, because I have my other channels, the Slim Nation one-on-ones experience, where I will always be concentrating on that, to have those one-on-one conversations with people about them, so you can know who these people are. So that's a whole different format that I have over here. But I want to keep the Portsmouth Coffee Talk going. We always come back with something a little different, and we'll be looking, to bring people on to really help us help you, and hope that you watch and share and subscribe. And we really want to bring on subjects where I'll do my part up here. I've been watching, trying to find out what's the best way to get the word out to the YouTube family out there beyond Hampton Roads. So those numbers will go up, and people that live in cities or areas just like this will understand, some of the things we talk about. When we talk about national issues, that's everybody. But we want to involve everybody. We want people commenting or coming in on the comments to talk to us as well and tell us about their experiences. And I'm sorry, I forgot. Let me acknowledge if they're still here. Texas Table Talk with Jay, and that is my cousin Johnny. Hello, Johnny. He lives in Texas, and wow, we're going to have him on a lot. And we still, by the way, we're still trying to figure out the time we should do. Should we stay in the morning, or should we do in the afternoon or the evenings at the 7 o'clock p.m. Show? If you watch this and you have an opinion on that, give me, what do you think? Well, I think we went to 8 o'clock. Well, anyway, 7 from 6 to 6:30 to 7. And is that the best time to have those conversations? Sometimes it's good if people are working and we can get them in before they go to work. Or is that 7 p.m. time the best time to have a larger audience, or to have people on that will have time to come on then? I'm kind of leaning towards that, but I want to hear what you think about that. Is the 7 p.m. better? And that probably works better for people like Johnny, who lives in Texas, where that time difference makes a difference early in the morning. If we come on at 7, that's pretty early for them. Or if someone comes on in California, that's pretty early for them. So we want to be at a time where everybody can really benefit from the guests that we bring on and the information that they have to share. So we'll be looking forward to that. So give me your opinions on that. I'm kind of leaning that way, but I will, look forward to listening to the opinions and, put that in, incorporate that in our decisions. And Anthony Ward, let's see, it seems like too familiar. Reconstruction, the first civil rights bill, 1865, and the Jim Crow shortly after. Yeah, you put that comment there some time ago. I'm sorry, I'm just getting to it, but I was talking. But yeah, you're right. That's why I brought that up. Seems like we're going backwards, and that's not good. Seems like we're going backwards. But so give me your comments on how crazy you think it is. It's really crazy every day, and I'm willing to bring on people. And we were trying to figure out, set up the format. Of course, we have the main show, which will be either the 7 in the morning or the 7 in the evening, and then pop-up shows that will directly deal with some issues. But if an issue comes up and we're directly dealing with it, the conversation will be geared towards what do we do? What are we going to do about it? Not just 2 hours or an hour of us talking about how bad it is, or having discussions. And that's good. That's good for a lot of people that don't know what's going on. But we've done that. And I think a lot of the people that might listen to this show know that already, and it's good to bring it up and talk about it. But I can't express this enough. We have to talk about solutions and what we need to do about it. We have to go that Joe Madison way, and don't make me turn into a Joe Madison and ask everybody that comes on here, what are you going to do about it? Well, maybe I might do that because I'll be interested to know what you're doing about it, and if you have a solution and not just talking points. The talking points are good, but what comes after that? How do we survive? Not the Gloria Gaynor way. Not the Gloria Gaynor way, but if most of you, some of you all out there know why I said that, that's an inside joke about Gloria Gaynor, and I will survive. Turns out that she's a Trumper and allegedly a Trumper and has given a lot of money to those causes, which changed some of the attitudes of some of the people, how they feel about her. But, that was her right to do that. But, kind of surprised a lot of people, you know, but, and it's why she's probably the only black awardee on the Kennedy Center honors that Trump has taken over. How about that? You want to be in control of everything, even the Kennedy Center honors, which is something that should be have nothing to do with politics. It's about music and entertainment appreciation and giving homage to those people who have contributed in that arena. And just because you don't like that they might be woke, but I've yet to watch one where they, talked a lot about politics. It's all about the people that they are honoring, but you take it over and honor people that you want to honor, that support you. Think about that, people. Think about that. Well, anyway, stay tuned for the Portsmouth Coffee Talk to come back in whatever kind of format we do, but whatever we do, it's going to come back in the way I talked about earlier, and talking about solutions and sharing information about people who are out there really doing the do, and either through their conversation, either through their physical activities, or legislatively. You have some areas that they have the power to make changes legislatively because they have the votes that they need to have to do things, to do the right thing. And you need people that can think individually about the issue and not just fall lockstep in line because one person says so. What about if you disagree? Do you have the balls to stand up against it? Do you have the bandwidth, as the colonel would say, to speak on it? Are you sensitive to the issues, as Leah would say? Okay, people, take care and please continue to support Portsmouth Coffee Talk. I know you haven't seen it for a while. I ran into a few people in the street and said, I can't find it. I said, okay, we've been shut down for the summer like we usually do. So just stay tuned and we're going to come back. And anybody that said that to me, I said, make sure you be a part of it, either through your comments when you're watching or be a guest. Be a guest on there because I believe everybody has something to say, something to contribute. And you never know. I want to have the guests of those people that might be going through hardship by some of these policies, how these policies hurt them. And by them coming up there talking about it, might trigger a group or organization that's dealing with that very thing to want to reach out to them and offer them the help that's there for them that they didn't know about until they spoke about it. That's what we're going to be all about, making sure people get the help that they need, or get either financially or emotionally, or be charged up to get off the couch when it comes to voting. You know, whichever way you vote, I hope you're educated enough to make the right decision, not to the right, maybe the left decision. But make the correct decision on voting. So the main thing is getting out there and voting, and getting off your ass and just going to vote. You know, don't your ass get tired sometimes? Don't it get numb or go fall asleep by sitting on it so long and not getting off it just to get up to vote? Or sitting on there, you know, and talking loud and saying nothing, as James Brown would say. Get out there and vote. Vote here in Virginia. You know, let's make sure we put the right governor, the right candidate for governor in office. And we'll have some politics on here a little bit, and we have to figure out, you know, if we're really going to charge. Now, let me say this before I go. I think, you know, as far as the charging goes, I guess that could be a good thing. But the main thing, I see it as us bringing on candidates as a service, as a service to our viewers, you know, and that's why we ask our viewers to donate to us and to help us keep this this show going, so we can grow and become as professional with all the different gadgets as we can. Up to now, all the few little things we have, you know, it's been coming out of my pocket, and I will continue to pay for what we need to do something on an amateur basis. We're not trying to be CNN, and well, a lot of people not trying. A lot of people going independent now, which is a good thing. But those people are going independent, coming from there. They are set where they can have all the best equipment and everything they need to get out there. But you know, the little things that we need around here, you know, I've been paying over the years out of my pocket, even with the hats, you know, and I try to wear them as much uh, as I can out in public so people can see it and ask me questions. And a lot of times it works. They ask me, oh, what is that? And I get a chance to tell them about it and give them a card or a share where they can find the show. And, you know, we might have to, you know, mass produce these and put these up for sale if people want them. Let me know if it's something you might want to invest in. But I'm trying to look at some of the national shows and see what they're doing. My main thing is to get, you know, as many viewers as we can. It's not do or die, because we're going to continue to do what we do, but it helps when you see those numbers grow, and that you might be creating an audience that can spread the information that we give. You know, we just have to try to be as relevant as we can and as entertaining. Entertaining, when I say entertaining, I mean something that keeps your attention, but is serious in nature. You know, so we're going to try that, and we'll look for all the suggestions anybody has. You know, we're not too proud to beg. You know, and ask people for their suggestions and what we can do to make this broadcast better, uh, more interesting to a larger crowd. But if we get a few people, if we help a few people along the way every time we come on, I think we've done something. We've done something worth continuing to do this. So stay tuned, everybody, and I've been like a preacher today. You know how a preacher says, I'm a end now, and he talks another 20, 30, 40 minutes. And that's exactly what I did. I came on thinking I was going to do a 15-minute talk about where we're going when we come back on. And here I am approaching 50 minutes. But I appreciate okay, I thank you for that. The Magnum Virginia 31. It said sometimes I'm too localized with my topics, and that's one of the things. I appreciate that. I'm looking for the constructive criticism, and I say criticism, but I put constructive in front of it. That wasn't quite criticism, but it was observation, and I appreciate that. And he's right. A lot of times, if you want to create a bigger audience, you have to go beyond the localities, and that's why we kind of created some of the other platforms like the Slim Nation, because that's kind of local and dealing with some of the local people, and that's why I did that. So we could take a break on the summer on Portsmouth Coffee Talk and sort of broaden the topics that we talk about up here. And we did that a lot before. You know, we've been on here over 5 years, and we did that a lot. We had a combination of local, and we did have a lot more local because we knew more local people. And we, before the summer came, we started bringing in people from Maryland. We had Louis Bracy, who was from Portsmouth, but he lives in Maryland now and very active with the veterans and very active in protests in Maryland and DC. He's been in DC the last couple of weeks and passing information to me, which I plan on using. I didn't want to put him up right away when we were down for the summer, but the videos and everything that he's passing to me that's going on in Maryland and DC, because I see that on the local national news as well. So I'm going to put those on because he's right there in the middle of some of those protests, and I think that's something great that we can share with you all that will go beyond the local news that we share here. You know, we will be doing some of the local news, but you're right, Magnum. You know, we need to expand and go beyond that. Yeah. And like you said, being live on YouTube, we're worldwide, and sometimes, like I said earlier, it might be some people watching from a town that's similar to Portsmouth or an area that's similar to Hampton Roads that might spark their interest. But you know, on the whole, a lot of people, some people in Texas, Johnny, might might not have an idea, no idea of what we're talking about, or can identify what we're talking about. But nationally, everybody can, you know, no matter where they are, you know, because in whatever state you are, something is going on, and you're paying attention to what's happening nationally because it affects everybody. Or, you know, just having somebody come in and talk about what's going on in your state, that's that's important to do as well, because some things that happen in one state, like we're seeing, it starts in Texas and then it jumps to other states, you know, where they're trying to, you know, change the laws as far as how they redistrict. You know, we normally do it every 10 years, and so if they have the votes to change that way of doing it, they do it because the president asked, "Hey, I need more representation out of your state. How can you change the voting districts to make that happen?" Even when that happens, you know, we still can make a dent in it if we still go out and vote in masses. You know, keep that in mind. It's going to hurt us not having the people coming from states, from areas that it's not a lot of people that think like us. But the people that are there that think like us, you got to get out there and vote, and at least put a dent in that. And the people that are in the districts that can make a difference, you know, you need to vote too. So the voting is the whole thing. even though they're trying to steal it that way. And we need to fight them from jumping from state to state and doing the same thing. But, you know, so hopefully we'll be able to talk to people from different states. We have people from Texas. We have my cousin Johnny who's there, who's very up on what's going on throughout the country and especially in his state of Texas, and has a lot of opinions on that and has a lot of solutions or ways that we can counter that. So we're going to be talking a lot to him. So that's going to make me go to that 7 p.m. Time, because it will definitely accommodate him, and keep him from having to get up so early. And I think, Magnum, I think we'll pick up more people during that time slot, um, even though it's a lot of competition on national news and with all these people that have gone private now that used to be on national, and they're going to gain so much attention. But once you up there on YouTube, and YouTube picks up on some of your subjects and recommends it to other YouTube followers, then that message really spreads. And you'll see once you turn on YouTube, because most of the time when I watch these national, like Joy Reid and Don Lemon, it's the recording version of it. It's not always the live version. So you want to get as many people watching live, but you also want them to be picking up on that recorded version and also liking and commenting, so we can follow that. So I talked a lot more, but thank you, Magnum, for bringing that up, and we'll be looking for that. And hopefully, Magnum, Virginia 31. I don't know what part of Virginia, if you're in Hampton Roads or another part of Virginia, hopefully we can have you on as a guest. Or if you're not ready for that, or you don't do that, you might be doing it somewhere. You can always make your comments like you're doing during our shows, and we try to address the comments that come up during our shows as well, because we show them on the screen as they come on, and we try to address them, or at least let the audience see what people are saying that are watching the show during the time. And we welcome criticism, we welcome the accolades, we welcome suggestions, whatever you want to put up there. We got the thick skin, and we will try to address it. So all right, Magnum. We'll be in touch. When you get a chance, you can put in the chat your email. Oh, Chesapeake. Okay, that's great too. So, but I'm sure quite a bit about what's going on nationally, so we can talk about that. And even like when we talk, one time we had a show, and we tried to let people know it's not all about Portsmouth, even though that's in our name. It's about Portsmouth. It's called Portsmouth Coffee Talk because that's where we started, and that's where we are based. And we tried to let people know that it's not all about Portsmouth because it has the name. And we brought in some mayors and some elected officials from different cities in Hampton Roads, and had a show there, which was quite interesting to get the perspectives from the different cities, Hampton, Newport News, and we've had Chesapeake on there. We had representatives from there. Her name escapes me right now, and I should, because she's been on there a long time. But I think the only city we haven't had an elected official, we've had citizens on there, is from Virginia Beach and Suffolk, I believe. So we'll work on that too, because if we talk about issues, we need to talk about regional issues as well, which it was my goal in having all those people on, so we could spread out and talk about the regional. It was amazing to see how much we had in common, cities had in common, but I always felt like each city had their own niche, which you have the beach, you have cities that have strong historic significance like Portsmouth and Hampton and Newport News, and then you got Williamsburg and Suffolk. The way Suffolk is growing, Suffolk used to be the least populated city in Hampton Roads, and now they have passed Portsmouth as far as population, and probably will pass some of the other cities the way they have grown. And kudos to Suffolk growing like they are. That is a advantage for the whole. All the cities that do well is an advantage for all of the cities because we all support each other. Excuse me. We all support each other. I don't know anybody in Hampton Roads that doesn't spend a lot of time. If you're from Portsmouth or other cities, spend a lot of time in Chesapeake, spend a lot of time in Virginia Beach, and a lot of people come to Portsmouth when we have those Saturday markets every Saturday from, I think it's from 9 to 2. And I've been out there with my camera and asked people where they're from, and they're from all over the Hampton Roads area. They come here for that fresh market. So every city has its niche, so we all can support each other. So the regional thing, the regional conversations is important too, because what happens nationally affect us regionally, as well as having some of our state officials on here that also make laws or that affect us, and we need to be in touch with them as well too. But nationally, that's the thing right now. That's the thing we need to pay attention to, and focus in on what's important, because all these things that are coming out that's distracting us, that might cause us to spend, or cause the media to spend weeks on, and all these little small things are happening. Like I mentioned early on in the show, it's a lot of talk about Charlie Kirk and what happened to him, but very little conversation that happened during that same time about the school shooting and the loss of students, which is simply crazy to me. And now we're talking about lowering the flags half mast for, I thought that was reserved for, well, anyway, I guess we could have a discussion about that. But that's going to happen because the person in power has that power to do that. I could think of many people that you probably that passed away that you could have lowered the flags for, but then you'd be lowering the flag every week. That's why I said it's reserved for certain things. If he lowered the flag, why didn't he tag on, we're lowering this flag for Charlie Kirk and the students that lost their lives? Crazy. Yes, indeed, Magnum. The governor's race is already interesting, and what was interesting, how big a lead one candidate had, and now it's turning around. And it's funny how it started turning around. I guess it depends on which poll you believe, but what the local news said, the gap closed, and it closed when you start seeing the negative ads. And I guess that's why candidates use the negative ads so much, because the negative ads make a difference as opposed to telling us what your policies can be. Look at the national election when Kamala Harris was telling us her policies, what she was going to do for home ownership, to increase home ownership, and giving you all the policy things that she was going to work with. And the other side was all negative and put down who, is she really black? Is she really this? Or, they're eating cats and dogs and stuff like that. No policy, but he won. So that formula seems to work. So that's what you're seeing here in Virginia. A lot of negative ads, and I guess that's politics. But what are you going to do when you get there? What kind of policies? And if it's filled with mostly negative ads and you get elected, we don't know what you're going to do until you get there. And it's too late then. We just have to put up with it. So, we need to know what policies you're doing so we can hold you accountable to that. What you said. Yeah, Charlie, Kurt is the hot topic negative nationally, and negative ads do work. Yep, and that's why I said, as soon as the negative ads came out here in Virginia, you saw the gap between the two gubernatorial candidates close when it was like this, and the negative ads came out and said, because people believe that. That's what they hear. That's what rings in their ear. The other stuff goes here and comes out there. The important stuff. So that's what we want to do here. Make sure you get the important stuff. Whether it goes in here and comes out of there, we have no control over that. But we talk about the hot issues as well, but we won't spend 3 weeks on that and not talk about the other things that are going on, the other distractions that will be put out there. We try to navigate through all that and share with you what's important and what we can do about it, what we need to do about it. How can we make a difference? What can you be doing in your community and starting in your community, making a difference in your civic league, in your social groups, in your fraternity, in your sorority, which has thousands of members that can make a difference. What can we do? That's what Portsmouth Coffee Talk is going to be about when we come back. So stay tuned, and I appreciate you. And I'll be putting up the ways you can support us if you like to. And we're trying to figure out how to gain sponsorship, and we have to show a sponsor some numbers. That's what they like to see, and so we're trying to build that up, but we want sponsors to believe in what we're trying to do here. So, and we advertise, what you're doing here, what you're doing locally, even nationally. But we'll start locally, and we'll figure out the best way to make sure we advertise for you, even if we have to during the week just come on and advertise your business. Even if it's not doing our show, but anytime we advertise your business, it's going to be on the social media until we take it down, and then it's still out there. So think about sponsorship for us, and everything that we get monetarily goes right back into the program. We're not on that professional level where we're looking for salaries for it there. But maybe at one point when I'm no longer here, because I wanted to say this too, started this thing with the help of Leah Stitt and Thomas the Colonel Chapman, with the idea of it continuing no longer when we were no longer here. So as we expand, and we want to be able to bring students on to help us out with certain things we want to do, to give them an opportunity, and hopefully pass it on as a network, as a local network. I even have those high aspirations. So we just have to figure out how to do it and go to the right people for guidance on what we need to do to make this thing. We're not looking to be the next Rowan Martin or Don Lemon or people like that, but we want to be able to continue. And Shona Swinson says, yeah, young blood, yes. And I'll mention Shona. Shona is a part of all the different platforms I have on YouTube are connected. The Slim Nation One-on-Ones podcast. Also be doing one with my granddaughter. But Shona, the Slim and Shona show is a part of the Slim Nation. Uh, I guess I can call it network, but part of it's connected with the Slim Nation, and we have our own show that's shown on the Slim Nation uh, channel, YouTube channel. So that's a whole different thing where we get to Umbrella. Thanks for that. That's Shona. I mean, see, that's why she's it's the Shona and Slim show, or well, Shona and Slim show. It's called the Slim and Shona show, but maybe I might change that. The Shona and Slim show. I think that has a better ring. How about that, Shona? I think I might do that. I think I'm going to do that. But anyway, because she's a great contributor to what we're doing, and she keeps online, and we don't have a lot of videos out there, but we're working on it, and we're trying to get to the point where we uh, every week, and you can look for us every week. So we'll get there, Shona. Sorry, a lot of things been going on, but she's ready whenever we're ready, and I think we've had some great shows coming up. Human net, human interest. Yes, yes, human interest is what we do there, and Shona keeps me in check because sometimes I go off the grid, and she comes with the facts. When we decide on a subject, and stay tuned. The next subject we're going to talk about vaccines. But one of the main things that we do, and we always, if you see back here, both of us graduated from IC Northam in 1972. And we always have a little conversation in the beginning about that sometimes, because if we have a guest, one of our guests is one of our classmates. And then we go into the subject that we decided to talk about. So she keeps me from drifting off because I'll drift off and bring up other things, and she keeps us in line. But it turns out to be a pretty good conversation, uh, informative conversation once we get into it. Talking about the last show, we talked about men's health, and we had a guest on that talked about uh, his prostate cancer experience and how he's gone through that, and and yeah, I'm sorry, I was reading Magnum's. But anyway, yeah, I'll get to that. And we talked about his experience, and that was men's health. And Shona talked about how, and we talked about how important it is for if you have a partner or the woman in your life is aware of all the things going on. Sometimes they're the ones that push us men into making sure that we take care of our health because they want us to be around as long as we can. So that was a great conversation. And lastly, I encourage you to go to the Slim Nation uh, podcast. That's another one of the shows I have on the platform, YouTube platform, and watch the conversation that Shona and I had, a personal conversation where she shared some information about uh, her life and how got comments from people and that didn't know she went through that for once and have gone through some similar experiences. So make sure you watch that conversation that we had about her life, and that started the whole ball game with her being on the show or we creating the show together. So Shona, appreciate you, classmate. But Magnum, yeah, I hope to be going to the parade this year. I went last year and filmed. I was there with my camera and filmed the parade. I was pretty much at we at the end? Well, yeah, I was pretty much near where the parade ends at Norfolk State. So because we got there late and I couldn't get closer than that, but that was nice. And then we had toured the campus and showed some of the buildings and things like that. Yeah, just go on the YouTube and you look at the one of the platforms is the Slim Nation One-on-One Experience, and you put that in, and that that channel will come up, and you'll see a lot of the videos up there. And please let me know. Like I said, Magnum, leave your email address, or you can email me at Dallas, Dallas. Okay, I see. Okay, uh, and we'll talk to you, and hopefully you can come on one of those platforms, or both. The Portsmouth Coffee Talk and the Slim and Shona Show. You Okay, I'm really going off now. It's been over an hour, and I'm supposed to be going out here, and the weather is the sun is not shining, but it looks like it's overcast, and I wanted to cut some bushes before it started raining. Okay, she says she can no longer hear me. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, but anyway, that's a good sign for me to end. She said no. So everybody, take care, and we'll see you next time.